in, we're ready.
Okay. Did he call or anything? Is he coming? Huh? You walk in,
In a flash.
just in time.
We made it today. Sorry about last night.
Hey, you're right on time. You got 3 minutes to spare. According to
Or
that
0.
clock. That clock must be a little slow. Couple minutes slow or something, is it? I was gonna say, according to my pickup, it is.
That's
It's
good for
time.
me then.
It's time.
It's good for me that it's a little slow.
Just right for you, isn't it?
You're live.
Oh, my live?
You are live.
Good morning. We'll call our Municipal Utility Board meeting to order here. It's Tuesday. Consider the consent calendar and approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Minutes, approve the minutes last month.
I'll make the motion.
Okay,
I'll second.
claims. Big again, huh?
The only one I see that's kind of different is that bolt kit, flange, gasket, boost pump on, I think, the page.
Yep, that is a chlorine pump for it's the recirculating pump because of the cherry vacuum. They're a pancake pump, the one we had in 2 went out, so that's a replacement piece to keep the water flowing in.
Okay.
Everything's spendy, huh? Faye, just curious, have you ever checked, like, our bills compared to our income on a monthly basis? Do we bring in enough on a monthly to pay bills or not?
I just do it quarterly.
Quarterly is all we look at it, okay. I'm just curious if we had, or if we have to look at the whole year, because there's some things that only come in certain times and so on.
Quarterly.
Quarterly, okay. Did somebody want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
move to approve the bills.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, aye, okay, it's paid. Faye, City Finance Officers Report.
Good morning.
Good one.
So sorry I am so late on this. This is your, so it'd be the end of June, so your second quarterlies. I guess a couple things. We can see that metered water is down, but of course we've had a very rainy summer, so that is partially what that is. The other new thing is your water surcharge. That is for this new project. You have 107.49, 491, which you did not have last year. The other difference is the surcharge. That was for the SRF. That was an old one. That one got paid off, and so now that one is gone. So you've just got the Lizelle, the water surcharge. That was for around the water mains and stuff for Main and Main Street, wasn't it? When was that one?
That would have been, I think, that's the old one from Pine Street and Davenport.
Oh,
and
okay,
The
okay.
1 and 2
Okay.
projects.
Yeah, and then the new one. On the expenses, wages and benefits are down. I'm not sure on that. Oh, one other thing on license and permits, Rick. I'm going to look at that. That doesn't look quite right, so I kind of tag stuff as I see it and going back and looking at it. I think there's something missing. I think they're forgetting to
that
give
could-
you the,
The Davenports.
yeah,
when they
I
had
think,
those high
yeah,
One thing?
yeah. So I think that number, there is something.
Which one?
Under the revenue, the very first one, license and
okay.
permits, I've tagged that one because I think there's something, and if I'd have had time yesterday, I'd have looked into it, but I just didn't. But I do have it tagged, and I will make sure that everything is right there. Everything else, the difference in the expenses is the capital improvements. Of course, that is up there on Dolan Creek, doing that stuff. Or no, it isn't Dolan Creek. It would have been the ending of the Pine View, correct? The 153,000. Didn't Pine View just get done? The water and sewer for Pine View? Not Pine View, but up
Am
by
I looking
Dolan
at the
Creek.
rate report or something? I always thought we had,
Would have been
you know,
Fergus.
income or whatever, our budget versus our actual expenses.
And you do, in this packet. You're looking at the budget now. You need to look at the other one.
This one here?
Yes. What?
That's not right. This gives 23 versus 22.
I think you want to be looking at page 1 and 2 of the, behind that.
Of which one?
The right behind that sheet, Ken.
This is,
There
this,
we go. I'm sorry. Yep, okay.
That was Pine Glen Fay.
yeah, it was Pine Glen. Okay, Pine Glen. So then, yes, the next couple sheets is the actual, what comes out of my Casell software. It's the breakdown. It gives your period actual to your budget. Basically, it,
There we go. That's the one I was looking at because it gives you your actual versus your budget.
correct. And then the only other thing, the third page or the balance sheet, I'm not sure if that's first or third on yours, because it's revenue, expenses, and then your balance sheet. And of course, you have your advances to other funds, which is your TIF money compared to your cash money. And then at the top of the first page, it gives you your cash balance with the advances is $2,125,14. I mean, your budget, Rick, the budgets are low. I mean, you're sitting very good at halfway through the year, basically. Of course, the revenue, because of the rainy season, hasn't been quite as good, but that we can't control. If there's any questions on any of these, like I said, I'm more than happy to sit down with you at a later date, or like I said, if you have any
Yeah,
questions
I'll
here.
have to look at it a little closer because that was, you know, a lot of figures on here
Yep,
and just boom, boom, you get the highlights, but. So where does this answer my question then, as I asked earlier, income versus expenses? Which 2 pages? Does it show
Well,
there on a quarterly?
your page 1 is your revenue. So right now, you have 788.11 in your revenue. In your expenses, you have expensed 786,678. And so your
More money than we've spent out.
well, you have 788,000 in revenues and 786,000 in expenses. So you really are you're about even as far as revenues to expenses.
2,000 ahead,
Correct.
right? Correct?
Correct. But that's better than being 2,000 behind.
Tell people to use more water.
Yeah, I mean,
Tell the Lord to make it.
Mother Nature has given us an abundance of water this year.
And again, this is for the second quarter, and early on is when
Correct,
we
correct.
had more rain, so
Correct.
probably
July and August should be better.
be up on our revenue.
Correct. Thank you, Rick. That's very true.
Okay.
And like I said, I'm always available. Give me a call. It's probably better if you stop down because I'm visible. I have to see stuff before, because it's hard to talk about numbers when you're trying to do it over the phone.
I can relate to that.
I guess just a quick one. It looks like we may have quite a few turnoffs today. They're working on it right now. There were 2 pages of names. And so-
Pages.
yeah, so I don't know what today is going to bring. Like I said, they worked on it yesterday. As
Spent
much
their money on vacations and not paying their bills, didn't they?
yes, something's going on. So yeah. So anyway, hopefully within the next couple hours they can get some more of them paid.
Okay. Questions on that? Okay. And the budget? Oh,
It's down
huh?
down the road a little bit under.
Oh, that's down the road further? Okay. Customer concerns, everybody's happy? Water superintendent.
Howdy.
Todd, good morning.
So, we have, the materials will be coming soon for the I-90 leak that we have over there. I'm sure you're aware of, well, we had another leak by the fire hall a while back and have ordered materials, so there'll be that showing up.
On there.
Yeah,
Oh, that one that's been there for quite a while?
yes, yep.
We had a second one, and I think Todd and I talked through it, and probably, given the fact that we had 2 so close to each other, we're looking at probably replacing that section of line. It'll be about a little over 1,200 feet of main line between valve to valve. We are going to upsize it from an 8-inch to a 10-inch, just for now's the time to do it. But potentially, I mean, we're looking at probably $110,000 to $120,000 for that repair. Right now, we've got it isolated, but we can't. It's not an immediate threat or danger, but we certainly can't not fix it. If something were to happen, that backfeeds all of Murray Addition and Dolan Creek, and so.
Is that
Something
on-
that we do
is that
need to
on the
do.
city side of the street or the interstate?
It's
or the
in
fence?
between it's in the interstate right away, in between the driving lanes and the fence, down in the ditch.
On our side, on this side, or the other side?
It's on the east side,
East side?
yes.
Okay.
Um,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's fine. As Rick said, it's a very important line. I mean, obviously, we're getting by without it, but it adds redundancy connecting the north and south tank. If we're down to one line and the other one were to fail, we're gonna have issues. So this definitely needs done. Other things coming is next week, we have a scheduled washout of the north tank. So I've started dialing down the north end of town and the wells so that we don't waste a lot of water draining it. I've got a system for that one to where we can dump the north tank into the concrete tank. 3 years ago was the first time I did it, and the theory worked well, just not completely. So I'm anxious to give it a second try and get it dialed in really good. The rec center deal project is nearly complete. Our end is complete, other than a little bit of concrete. Excuse
What's
me.
going on down there? I see all that digging.
Replacing the line from the main into the building.
Okay.
There was some projected bad spots, some other issues. There was just a lot of
Whole new
things.
line going in?
Whole new line going in. There's now a separate indicator valve for the fire suppression and a separate curb valve, so that if they have to work on one individually, you could shut off the domestic water and leave the fire suppression on, or vice versa. That's generally a good thing to have, so you don't shut the whole building down if you have one issue. And last but not least, I've submitted our lead and copper service line inventory with what they wanted at our deadline, and I'm gonna bring you up some flyers so that you can participate yourselves and lead the way, show our citizens what we need to do.
Oh, yeah, I've been reading them in the paper sometimes.
So on your sheet there, I mean, you can read it. This is what the state has, in essence, given us. There is a QR code on the bottom right-hand corner. You take your smartphone, that'll take you right to the survey. You fill that out. There's a portion where you take a picture of the first 18 inches of your line coming into your house, and you hit submit, and you get a little dot that shows up on their virtual map. If you do this and have troubles, please let me know, because there are bugs. We're finding bugs ourselves. Currently, we have about 28 of our 3,000 some odd services on the map, so I'd sure like to see 3 more in the next couple days.
Now, even though the house has got copper in it, that first 18 inches might be lead?
They're more than likely, if your house was built before or after 1987, the odds of lead are
Before.
very, very unlikely. I mean, that would be somebody who saved materials they shouldn't have. They still are requesting, right now they're requesting, it's likely to get worse than that. I don't know what kind of teeth they can or will have, but every house, they request an inventory, a survey to be done. Yep. So that's the main, well, my house doesn't have any lead. I know.
So if it comes down to it and the people don't do this, then we'll have to go out and do it?
That's what they're telling me. And if the people refuse to let us in, that's out of our hands.
Yeah.
Right now, Ken, to be honest, there's more questions than answers.
Yep.
What's the percentage of houses that they're requiring this on?
They want 100%. They're requesting 100%.
So this is going out to everybody in town.
And we haven't sent the flyers. I mean, that isn't, I mean, that's expensive to do a mass mailing, you know, it's,
I understand.
we're trying to figure out how to do it, yes. And getting 100% is gonna be interesting, but it is what it is.
Some of these old houses have got lead in it, are people gonna have to replace them?
I do not have an answer for that yet. The EPA has mandated this and handed it off to the states. And as I said, there are more questions than answers right now. They revised the whole lead and copper rule, and when they put that out, this inventory that is a part of this survey I gave you is the only part of that revision that stuck. They are currently revising the lead and copper rule again, so nobody knows what they're coming back with.
This is the first phase of probably a 2 or a 3 phase approach, and the first phase is the inventory. We're fairly confident that we're gonna have very minimal or very few homes that fall under this category and actually have lead pipes. There's even a little bit of confusion, and probably what we do have in some of the older homes is maybe some different material pipes that have lead solder or joints, and they haven't even indicated how they're going to necessarily deal with that, if that is truly going to be a violation. But our water mains, we're fairly confident we don't have any lead pipes in any of our water main system. But like Todd said, this is continuing to evolve. There's not a lot of information put out on it. And this is not just a South Dakota issue. This is across the nation. Everybody's supposed to be doing this, which it's a little, I guess going into this, I would have thought we would have seen a lot more national coverage on it and more maybe TV ads and different things like that, since it is a nationwide program. It's gonna end up being very similar to the lead paint, deal, that we currently have, but, yeah, all we can do is continue to do as much as we can and try and be as compliant as possible, with what they're putting forward to us.
That's,
It seems like overkill when you don't have, when you don't have a water that's corrosive.
Right.
I mean, in parts of the country where your water's corrosive, I can understand it, but we don't have corrosive water.
no. Yeah, the chemistry for a groundwater system doesn't sit well with what they're having us do, but once again, it comes down to the EPA, the feds have done this, and I really honestly feel kind of bad for a lot of our state people. They're on the same page as we are, but they have to follow the rules handed to them. And boy, I go to these meetings and people plumb get angry at them. It's like, geez, So, and my deal is if we can, like Rick said, do our best to remain as compliant as possible until we get to the bitter end and see where they're at. You talk. The next question would likely be financing, funding. That's 100% in the air. There's programs out there, but nothing in their lead and copper rule currently allows anyone to qualify for the money they set aside for lead and copper replacement. And there's once again, bureaucracy at its finest. They still have to fit it into how it works. So my bet is once we get the inventory to them, that's when they're going to really make the revisions on the rule. And hopefully, if we get our diligence done, it won't have as large of an effect on us as other places. So that's why I would like to have it done. I do believe it will help benefit us in the end. So
We're gonna get you're gonna get one of these out to every household?
We're taking different approaches, so we've put some information and basically that same flyer ad has been placed in, I think this will be the second month in the SIP. There's some stuff that we've posted out on both the Public Works Facebook and the city Facebook. It's on our website. We probably will not, again, mail that out to every home just for the fact of the cost of it. If we end up getting to a point where we're lacking on our compliance, maybe that's something we'll have to look at doing, but we're trying to not have a huge cost tied to this program at this point in time, just because there's so many unknowns at this point in time.
Probably half the people don't look at your website.
Probably not. I think most of them read the SIP though, and we'll see, like I said, at the end of the day, we got to see where we're at. We've been also, as we do turn-ons and turn-offs, we've been taking care of those homes as we do them. So like I said, we feel pretty comfortable where we're sitting right now as far as being compliant where we're at. And we'll continue to do that. No different, like Faye said today, if we have 2 pages of turnoffs, those will all be homes that will have been inventoried and done. And as we go in and change out any meters, things like that, our staff are trying to be as proactive as possible in getting as many done that we're able to do, so we don't have to rely on the homeowners.
and that's the other thing that I've started doing. I only have a few in, like, I don't know, a couple hundred, but you can go through the as-built on anything that's any of our projects, and I know that things were updated, so there are gonna be a certain amount of people who will be doubled up if they actually do theirs. I've already got some entered just because I have records. I mean, it's just time consuming, we get into winter months, hopefully I can get more done. It's a one-person project because it's one spreadsheet. You can't open it in multiple places and multiple save. I'm not real tickled with that setup, but it is what it is. So I don't know.
We're able to rule out some areas too, given the construction. If they were built after a certain date, any new subdivision, of course, we don't have to go in and inventory every one of those homes. because they wouldn't fall into the category of even being able to have lead pipes.
Any questions?
Well, thank you.
Just a comment, I don't know how you're ever gonna get 100%.
And I do not disagree with you, Ron, but
Just a comment.
we're striving for it.
Public Works.
Again, just mentioning, some of our, that water main repair is a big project that we'll be trying to get done here in the fall. Todd did go ahead and get the pipe ordered. It had a little bit of a lead time on it. Once we get that, we'll line up. He's been working with a couple of contractors to get some prices to try and get that done, but we'd like to get that done probably in the next 30 to 45 days before winter sets in. One of the other things that we're kind of finalizing on is our well number 8 improvements. We hope to have the final design of that well and well house done probably sometime the end of October, early November. Our plan right now would be for that to be bid in the months of December and January, and we'd be looking at construction next March. That well number 8 and the well house 8 will have a booster with it so that it's able to reach those upper elevations of our current system, and then it'll also tie into the Vanacker water mains. That has a total project price for the well house and that tie-in right around $3.4 million. And then secondary to that, we did have our water storage tank that will be located probably, we're looking at up on the property of the rubble site on the top of the hill. We're looking at probably is a $1.2 to $1.3 million project there. We hope to, our hopes would be that we'll be looking at closing our loan sometime in October on that one and have everything ready. But right now we're on track to have that project and hit those dates and have it completed sometime next year. If you remember, that is an SRF loan, and then we had some ARPA grant money tied to that. We had to do a match, and that match came out of our wastewater ARPA grants. The ARPA grants were not, they're not eligible for water. So they're wastewater, streets, different things like that. So the wastewater, we had to use those ARPA grant monies to do that match. So just kind of FYI. Other than that, we've here about 3 weeks ago, they started the dirt work on phase 3 of the Davenport subdivision. So that will be progressing through the winter months. We'll be doing, their plan was to start on the storm sewer, do the sewer, and then do the water. So depending on the winter, I'm not sure if we'll get into water yet this winter or if the water will end up being a springtime project. But anyways, that will likely be finalized sometime next spring as well. And I don't recall off the top of my head how many homes are there. I think it was, do you remember, Todd? 38. So another 38 homes down there on the south end of town. And that's about all I've got for you as far as any kind of ongoing projects. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
I like that project down south down there that we're doing now, putting in that water and that. We have the cash for that. We're just paying for it.
For which one?
Yeah, for the number 2, on the new pipeline they're putting in down there,
So was a TIF with them. The developers were not paying,
Okay,
necessarily
oh.
paying for that, right?
That's probably in their TIF or something.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was an external tip.
Correct. Yeah.
It's an external tip.
It's a privately bank-funded TIF.
Okay. Okay, good. Thank you. Public hearings? Old business. I don't have anything down. Hmm,
I have no old business.
nothing out there? New business?
What we have for you under new business is going through the projected or the proposed 2024 budget. We did have a first reading of that last week, and we're scheduled for the council to have second reading of that Wednesday night. Hopefully after that, we'll have a approved budget. Nothing too concerning in the budget as far as my end. We did go through it. There were some cuts that were made, nothing that affected the water necessarily. We did end up with a little bit lower number than what we've had in the past, but we're pretty comfortable in where we're at. And I guess if you had any questions concerning those budget numbers, I'd be happy to answer them, or Faye can answer them. Faye, anything you wanted to add on the proposed budget?
No, I sure don't.
Yeah. So you didn't make any drastic
No, nothing,
over
you know.
this whole deal?
We had some, we have some lower wages because of some new employees that, of course, are being paid at a lower wage.
Also, me leaving has helped.
Faye's leaving, so that helps. Again, when we look at budgets, we pay a part of her wages, and
I
so.
didn't have to take a 10% cut.
Right. But no, nothing out of the ordinary. Like I said, we feel pretty comfortable where we're at. We're still gonna be making upgrades to meters and smart points. Really didn't have anything that's concerning at all. Hopefully our revenues, that's the biggest question every year, is whether or not our revenues match what we project, and we never know that, depending on the dry year versus a wet year. Of course, in the wet years, our water goes down. We are anticipating, what was the increase in the,
3.5 for wages.
in the billing. In
Oh,
the,
excuse me, 5%.
there's a
Excuse me.
5% for 2024 increase in the monthly billing, the base rates. So, and that was across the board with water, sewer, and
And
sanitation.
water hasn't had anything for at least, I believe, 3 years.
Right, and actually if you remember the last surcharge we did on the well number 8, we did the surcharge as required by the state. They require that we have 120% payback, but we actually, if you remember, we lowered the base rate, so that was a net zero. We weren't paying any more per month on our water bill. That won't necessarily be the case in 2024. We will have a little bit of an increase, that 5% in that monthly billing. And if you remember, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, we actually lowered all of our utility rates, which was, I think, probably the only time I've ever heard of a municipality lowering utility rates. So we're sitting pretty good. I did just get the 2024 utility rate book, and quickly looking through it, I think we were number 4 or 5 in the state as far as the lowest utility rates combined, and that was water, sewer, sanitation. And we were second in the western South Dakota. The only one that had lower rates than us was Lee Deadwood. The other communities were all East River. So, as far as when we look at our rates and where we're at, we're very affordable in the region.
I see you budgeted more for accounting than last year or than any other year.
Yes, and that's based on what your budget is. And so, yeah, it's just a percentage of everybody's budget. Yeah, that is how Daniel has always formulated that. So I believe, when things are added, then, as the budgets go up, then that goes up.
Man, that's a big difference, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. That's the biggest difference.
We could've cut there.
Though supplies are way down from last year or the year before.
Mm-hmm.
So Todd can do more with less.
Well, I seen over here is, like your corp stops, valves and fittings went down 5,000. But if I remember right, we spent a lot on that, didn't we?
We-
So
we
now
did.
we have some in supply?
We did, you know, and it's always a balancing act trying to figure out, what we need, but over the last, 2 or 3 years, you know, we've really hit that hard on replacing valves and the smart points, and we're getting to a point where we're caught up. We shouldn't have near as much of that. So, you know, again, we feel pretty
Meters is
comfortable.
another one, that's down by 20,000, so,
Which one?
meters,
Yeah. And that part of that, right?
yeah, all part of that,
We're in really good shape there,
on meters?
yes.
Well, it should be with the money you spent this year on it. Geez, every time I look, remember, I was always hollering at you.
He's selling them meters to other water systems.
We're
make
getting
money.
very close to actually being fully automated.
Good.
The meters, the money we've spent on meters is for the developments more than anything right now.
Okay.
But it saves a whole lot on labor because you've got the kind of meters that come right into the system, so.
Good.
I don't know.
So hopefully the general budget is all set, so tomorrow night should be just a
We're hoping,
hoping.
we're hoping.
Okay. Looks good, huh?
That looks good to me.
Other matters that may come before the board. Everybody out there is happy? Executive session, we don't need one? Adjourn.
I make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay. We are adjourned. Next month date should be just normal, huh? For me, it would,
The
huh?
third Tuesday, right?
I don't have a calendar ahead of me, but I looked at it yesterday. Huh?
Is it the fourth Tuesday?
4th, yeah.
That'd be the
24th.
24th.
24, yeah.
Sounds good. Okay, I have another meeting.
Now I got something to do when I get home. See, I go take this thing.
I can't wait for what it says about.
Huh?